Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for a shoulder day, and of course we did other muscles in here too. I like to do my neck and forearms on this day also, but I did those at the end. So I started off with a seated press. I went a little heavy on the first set, only got 3 reps and dropped it back down to 135. I decided today let's just mess with the seated. I kind of like seated. I'm like, look, I can go ahead and get really tight on this belt up, get some wrist wraps. And I noticed if I do that, then I can take that slightly wider grip, which for me, again, a lot closer to my incline bench in terms of that. So I think with these, I'm almost really debating just sticking with the seated. And as much as I like the standing, I'm getting so much loading of my spine now because I'm doing all the heavy shrugs strapped up. I'm doing my heavier rows strapped up, doing deadlift rep work. I don't know that I really need that. Let's just consider doing seated. So again, but with this, I notice I can get that slightly wider grip, and again, so that I get that upper chest more, I get that a little more side delt. This just feels really good. Obviously, I can't go quite maybe as heavy. All right. So again, happy with the performance though. So again, even though this is not maybe my best leverage, it feels really good. Maybe not in terms of weight maybe because I was always really strongest with that close grip, but just that feels really good, and I feel like I get a good balance between upper chest and that. So upright rows, and yeah, I feel like my waist is just definitely not tight today. I don't care. I'm just going to keep getting leaner. It'll tighten up, lose body fat. Always happens though when I add more carbs back in. So upright rows, went ahead and did sets of 6. Like I've been doing these with 95 for 10s, working on really trying to get a good range of motion for me. But I want to go ahead and progressively overload this. I think particularly with the amount of total sets and training I'm doing, I don't know that I want to get crazy high reps on everything. I do want to keep that good muscle density from going heavy. So what we did here is we went up, and I'd like to be able to eventually get to where I can do these for good work sets, with a full plate per side. And that's kind of a goal that I'm setting here. I would like to achieve, I would like to reach. So I'm going to work towards that. All right, lateral raises up next. All right, so again, sets of 10. Again, feel like the shoulders and chest and everything are really, really getting where I want it to be. I just need that waist to tighten up. But yeah, we're going to double down on shoulder work, right? We're going to double down on shoulder work. And I think with a lot of this stuff, I'm going to not do crazy volumes. I know this week I'm a little crazy on stuff, but I do feel like for most muscles, about anywhere from 12 to 15 sets is good. But I think my shoulders are going to need more. Like I do want to take my delts past 20, all right? I want to take them past 20 sets of actual delt work, because I really do feel like if my shoulder girdle comes up, I'll be in a good place. Now, biceps are probably getting the most isolation outside of that. I am doing 15 sets there. So again, just balancing it all out. But again, felt like overall the volumes this week were really good. Most of my muscles got around 12 sets, 12 to 15. Again, I don't know how we want to count stuff like calves or whatever. So the delts got a lot more. Now, obviously, with the holidays coming, I will miss a day at some point in there, and that's okay. So the laterals, though, these felt good. Again, 3 sets of 10 with this weight. And again, quite happy with that. And then after that, we went ahead and did shrugs. Now, shrugs, I'm strapping up. I'm going hard on shrugs. These are feeling really good. And this is another reason I'm like, I think my core and trunk and everything are going to get tons of work. Between this stuff and doing deadlift rep work, because I did that top deadlift with 585, and then I did multiple work sets with 500, then I did 390 on the axle bar. I could probably take it up to 400, obviously. The shrugs, I'm able to now, finally I'm up to 405. I'm able to get sets of 8, but they're very, very, very hard. Like even, strapping it up, walking it out, definitely puts a lot of stress on the body. But again, I'm totally feeling those traps. That I feel like, again, I need my entire shoulder girdle to come up. Obviously biceps too, But again, they're coming along, right? And I don't want to overtrain my biceps. That's one thing I noticed too. They don't necessarily respond and I get excessively high. But about 15 good sets for biceps a week, as long as they're really high quality sets like I'm doing, I think that'll get it. And so because the shoulders, though, the delts are such a complex muscle, they're the biggest muscle in the upper body, 3 completely different functions, I am going to double down on the delt training. Although I just feel like I'm not even going to bother with isolating rear delts because I'm going to isolate the side and everything, because I am doing a lot of pulling, a lot of rowing. My rear delts are getting work, and then most of these exercises are still working the rear delts very, very effectively. But I really just want that whole side delt to come up. I want the entire upper trap. I want the shoulder girdle. I just need the whole shoulder girdle to just get thicker, right? So traps, delts, and as long as I can keep the delts growing, it's okay if my traps get bigger. Same thing, neck, forearms, calves, all this stuff needs to be worked. All of it needs to be worked. I front raises, did these necks. I really like these, and I know a lot of people are like, that's redundant, but they work the entire delt. Yes, they're front delt dominant, but again, we come over to delts, traps, plus they carry over to your bench, plus they work the upper chest, right? So again, this is another example of look, doubling down on that whole upper chest, shoulder girdle tie-in. Like that is really where it's going to be money. So this is where I'm putting the most training volume, because again, as I lean out, if I can just get that area good, I'll be in a good spot. Because again, the biceps, I feel like they're going to keep growing, okay? So keep that in mind, guys. I neglected biceps for years and years and years, and now that I'm training them really seriously, full range of motion, hard, with a pretty high volume in every angle, I feel like they're definitely starting to grow. I don't need to overtrain them, but so I want to just really hammer the shoulder girdle area, because again, keep in mind, it actually can handle large amounts of punishment. This has been noted by a lot of people. Like the work capacity for that area is pretty high. Right, plus all the androgen receptors in that area, it recovers fine anyways, if your testosterone levels are really high, and mine are. So again, this is where we're going to put that extra focus, right? So that's why I have the 2 shoulder days. Like normally these days would actually just be normal balance training, because it really is just 12 sets for delts. But because we're doing 2 of them now that's really a specialization. Plus, again, my chest days are biased towards upper chest and tricep days, as again, that area, that's really where we want it. But I want to add some forearms. I feel like the extensions, the wrist extensors, by the way, they feel like they get so worked on all my other grip work that I almost don't need to try to bother to isolate them, because especially the axle bars and stuff really work that area. Probably harder for me than even the extensions do. But I want to work on just big, thick forearms. So I'm like, let's high rep this. Instead of even going heavy, this is one of those I just high rep. It works just fine. So I finished off by supersetting those with my neck extensions, which I really need for my neck, because when I sleep wrong on it, I get that crick in it. But forearms are looking good. It just sets a 20 plus there. And then I did right at 15 reps for the neck extensions with the 55-pound plate. Puts me in a good place. Keeping in mind, with these, we don't need a lot. I'm doing these twice a week, and I do a lot of other stuff that's hitting that. Keep in mind the shrugs and stuff work the neck. But even the forearms, like I have a ton of grip training. Especially because I pulled everything raw on the deadlift. Right? So, again, I do want to make sure, though, that the flexors get worked. Again, critical, important for what I'm doing. Of course, there's my calves. Calves are on point. All those calf raises are definitely working. But again, the forearms are actually good. People are noticing that when I do a lot of the sit down and do the lives and stuff, like, oh, your forearms are getting jacked. And obviously the biceps and stuff are more important. But again, we're getting there. We're getting that vascularity. And I feel like as I get leaner, that vascularity is probably going to increase all over my whole body. It's going to increase over the whole body. And then, I did all these, and then I finished up with a dead hang. And I think the dead hang, because again, I like trying to work that. I want to work on that range of motion and that mobility. And here's the problem with my shoulder range of motion still. Like, I don't ever do a front double bicep, because I can't actually do it right, unfortunately. So I feel like I need all the hangs. I need the pullovers. I need to keep working that area. But I like dead hangs. So again, we actually get some extra forearm and grip work. And while my shoulders are still pumped, I'm like, okay, so my shoulders are pumped, everything's tight. That's when I want to stretch that area. That's a good time to do it. So I did one until it just kind of hurt. So I slapped on 110 pounds and just did a hang. And that will also, I think the thing with that too, it will show people where, it'll show people where I'm at there, right? It'll show people where I'm at, because they're like, oh, why don't you lock out certain things? That is literally me being over 200 pounds with another 100 and something pounds hanging and just going into a full dead hang, right? That is the entirety of my fully stretched extreme range of motion, and it actually hurt, even hurt my forearms. So you guys will see that coming up. Of course, you'll see my back. So I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.